Welcome to the Crimson Engine. My name is Rubidium. Today we are looking at a very interesting camera, a camera that on paper has like the dream specs, basically the perfect digital cinema camera, despite the fact that it's under $2,000 and around the size of a pack of cards. I got my hands on the new Sigma FP, so let's check out what it does and how it does it. I got to go to Sigma Burbank and spend a couple hours with this camera and some of Sigma's awesome cinema glass. The camera's been out for a couple of weeks now. There is quite a bit of footage on the internet from it. Nothing that really blew me away, despite the fact that this camera shoots full frame, 4K, RAW, and costs under $2,000. It is a very small form factor. It is maybe this big, definitely fits in the palm of your hand. It really is the product of a company that has nothing to lose. They're not trying to protect any existing cameras. Some of their loyal customers have already bought and don't want to lose value, or they're not trying to upscale you and upsell you to bigger cameras. They really have, put everything into this camera and got it to market for the cheapest price possible. I mean, it's cheaper than the Blackmagic Pocket 6K, despite the 6K being, under a Super 35mm sensor, and this camera being a full frame sensor. So how are they doing this? What's the magic? Well, basically, the RAW is only external. So it outputs RAW. It won't record RAW over HDMI until another firmware update. But you can plug in a Samsung T5 2TB or 1TB drive and have it spit out DNG files either in 4K or in 2K. It doesn't crop in on the sensor. You then bring that into Resolve and grade it like you would if it were a Canon CRM file or a Blackmagic RAW Lite file, anything. This allows the camera to be very small because it's not doing any processing on the sensor or on the chip. It's just outputting what the sensor is seeing onto an external hard drive. That means you need to process this footage and sync it up with sound in post. The sound file is attached to the thing in a different directory. Because unlike the Canon RAW Lite or Red RAW or Blackmagic RAW or ProRes RAW, it's not a compressed RAW. It's just a uncompressed RAW. It's very large. This thing is 400 megabits per second. So you're going to need terabytes of space. The good news is that the drives that it records to, the Samsung T5s, are like $100 for a terabyte, $250 for a 2 terabyte. So there's no expensive CFast 2.0. There's no expensive media like the Blackmagic RAW or the Canon C200. You can go ahead, start shooting 4K full frame RAW with this camera for under $2,000, including the cost of media. So specs-wise and usability-wise, this thing is pretty great. What does the footage look like? It has a native ISO of 400. That's what we shot at, and we were able to get some pretty awesome footage. I was really impressed. I mean, RAW is RAW, so you're able to do a lot with it in post. So let's jump into Resolve and look at the footage and how it compared with the C200. So here we are in DaVinci Resolve. This is a wide shot. This is the first thing we shot. Color contrast looks pretty great, which you expect because this is RAW. But also no moire in his shirt. Very clean, not much grain. Here's a close-up I graded a little bit more intently. This is Roberto Diaz, by the way. If you want to check out his YouTube channel, I'll leave a link to it below. Sigma has this pretty cool plum blossom tree and a shoji screen and a Japanese lantern in their Burbank office, which you can use as a backdrop to test cameras and lenses. So this was a little bit more graded. You see, I think I've got a couple different things going on here. Yeah, there's some punch to his face, there's the LUT, and that's the RAW to Rec 709. How does it compare to the Canon C200? Well, I shot simultaneously with slightly different lenses, but similar distance. Here is the Sigma FP, and this is the C200. So between the two of them, there isn't a lot of difference. Now, this is an extreme, I'll go on and test the dynamic range in a little bit, but what I was really interested to see was how the two of these cameras would cut together. Obviously, you look at the size of the bokeh, the Sigma's at a lower t-stop, but it looked really great. I mean, it looks like it could be the same camera. Maybe there was a little bit more difference in them, but I was able to match them in the grade, which is what I wanted, and match them to the C200 rather than downgrade the C200 to the B camera, in this case the Sigma FP, and man, this stuff looked good. So onto some dynamic range tests. Here's a correctly exposed clip. Then we get on to, this is one stop over, and I've then graded it back down. If you look at this is the actual clip as it came out of the camera, and this is one stop under. This is two stops over, so the scene itself is lit for T4, and this is T2 on the lens. So if you see, if I take the exposure, this is how it looked on the camera, but I was able to take it down by 2 stops in post and getting something that looks really nice. Nothing's clipping. Now 3 stops over, so this is T15. This is the lens all the way open. And you start to see, okay, the brightness in his skin is clipping now. If you look as it was exposed, it's totally blown out. But what I was impressed by is like bringing it down 3 stops. So the skin's blown out. Let's not go this high. If you're not clipping, you can recover most of the stuff. And if you watch me play it through, his shirt, the other side of his face, his eyes are all, totally usable despite being way overexposed. So now this is one stop under. This is what it looked like in the camera. I'll play that out so you can see me doing my hand signals there. That's one stop under, brought back up to normal exposure. This is 2 stops under, so it looked like this. Just, totally dark, but I'm able to bring it back up in post. This is what you can do with most cameras, I have to say. But then 3 stops under, right, that it's a completely dark shot. The histogram is all in the bottom stop, and bringing it back up to normal exposure, a little bit more, barely any grain at all, actually. Skin looks great, color still looks great, which I find really amazing. Still really clear separation between the blue and the pink and the orange of his face. From something that the image on the camera just looked black, so really cool shadow recovery, pretty decent but not perfect highlight recovery. This isn't the Alexa LF, this is a $1,800 camera, and super impressed by that. The next thing we were testing out was the wide angle. This is a 14mm lens on the full frame of the Sigma FP, and you can see it's huge. It takes in the whole room. That is my first impression of the Sigma FP. Like I said, I only had it for a couple of hours. I was only shooting in their showroom in Burbank. I wasn't really able to control the lighting that much, so I am going to get my hands on this camera because I really think it's a game changer, and it could be the perfect B camera to the C200B that I have. It could also be a really great A camera if you kit it out enough, and there's going to be some more cages coming and different other accessories for it. 3 years ago, the C200 broke barriers with a sub $10,000 cinema camera. Now we're looking at a sub $2,000 full frame cinema camera. It's pretty amazing. I'll have more Sigma FP content in the next couple of weeks when I get my hands on one. Let me know what you'd like me to test and what you guys out there would like to see. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you next time.